Excellent.
Thanks for coming. Of course.
Oh, we got a theme song? Oh, this is a song that every year we do barbecues at the Glenville Rodeo. So this is the song that the Stockdale Lions Club will write out. Who remembers that?
Yeah, talk about it.
Anyway, I'm Greg Gonzalez, the oldest son, favorite son of whose birthday is. Everybody, let's give a hand for a big Al. He's going to be 80 years old.
Who wants us all to stand up there with you? What's Pete?
Okay, so here are his kids. I'm Greg.
And I'm Cynthia or Sissy.
I didn't realize her name was Sylvia. That's this. I'm Mark.
Sandra, or my dad may know me as Corky. I'm Karen.
And I'm Keith, and also known as Butch in my younger days.
And Keith is 10 minutes younger than Karen. 10 minutes, because they're twins.
So we're just like the one So they say when you do one of these things, you should always open with a joke. So my dad, that's the joke. He has a long history of being the guy downtown that would know all the jokes that are going on. When anybody had a joke, they would go to him. Like he was like the Mexican version of Twitter. So he would come home and tell me these jokes. So here's a joke that he told me when I was 8 years old. He comes home and he's like, Krieger, come here. What? I got a good joke for you. What? You heard the joke about the cannibals? No. Okay, so this mercenary was in Africa and he gets caught by these cannibals. So they throw him into a pot, boil him, start eating him, and the cannibals are really happy because they haven't eaten in weeks. So one guy starts at the head, one guy starts at the feet. The guy at the head goes, man, this guy's delicious. How you doing down there? The guy at the feet goes, oh, this is great. I'm having a ball. The guy goes, you're eating too fast. So he told me that when I was 8 years old. Those are racier jokes that he told me when I was younger, but I might tell some of those later. But anyway, I just want to do a little bit of a brief history of my dad and like how his family got here, his brothers and sisters and his kids. But unfortunately, I don't know it, so I have to start with when I came into the picture because that's all I really remember. But in the 50s, my dad was going to college, and he met my mom, and he was, he was a real ladies' man. He was a great pickup artist. Family Lore has it that the line that he used to get my mom was when he saw her, he said, that must be jelly because jam don't shake like that. So, he's always a smooth talker. So anyway, they fell in love, and it was so passionate that they just had to run away to Las Vegas and get married because they just couldn't be without each other. And if they figured, I Love Lucy was the most popular show on TV, that was a mixed marriage. They thought it wouldn't be a problem. So they ran away to Las Vegas and got married, and just a mere 7 months later, I was born. I know you're doing the math, so I have to tell a little family secret that I was born too much premature, so. Yeah, I'm pretty healthy for a preemie. So, growing up, I was born in Visalia. We lived there. He was a manager of a Kirby shoe store, and he got this great job offer to relocate to Bakersfield, and that's when my life ended. I was having so much fun. It was like you know, like living in Mayberry. There were walnut groves and cotton and grapes and everything on the way to school. And then in the mid-'60s, when we moved to Bakersfield, civil rights movement was going on, and there was a lot of turmoil in the country, Vietnam War. So my dad said, you know, we want you guys to have the full experience of the 60s. So we moved into an all-black neighborhood. So I would come home and I'm like, oh, you know, the Mexicans hate me because I'm a half-breed, the blacks hate me because I'm white. I'm like, the only thing they agree on is their mutual hatred to me. It's like, you know, bringing the races together. It's a good thing. It's civil rights, so, you know. What? Oh yeah, in our all-black neighborhood, we had a dog named Whitey. So when he would get out and kill the neighbor's chickens, we'd have to yell on the porch, Whitey! Whitey! What are you talking about? You're the Whitey! So, it was a pretty fun upbringing. But I don't want to hog up all the time, but I'll be back to hog up some later. But my sister Celia wants to say
I just want to say a few words about what a good childhood we had, that our dad always wanted to make sure we knew how to fish, and we went camping, and there were a lot of things he made sure we got to experience. So that part of it was really great. But one of the things that bonded Greg and me was every time our mom had another baby, we would have to leave town and stay with our grandparents. So we always had a bag packed. Never sure, you know, when we might have to leave on a moment's notice. So there's just one little story I want to tell about staying at Grandma Lois's house in the summer in China Lake. And she had this air conditioner, and it made this really odd noise. And I could swear when the air conditioner was on, I could hear music. And I actually heard it, and I didn't think anybody else heard it. So I was afraid to say anything because I was a little kid, and I thought, maybe I'm crazy. I hear music when the air conditioner's on. So finally one day I asked Grandma Lois, and I said, when the air conditioner's on, do you hear music? And she said, I do. I hear a man singing. And what I heard was my dad playing the guitar. That's what I would hear. So I remember thinking in my little kid mind, maybe I'm hearing the sound that I love the most. Because I loved sitting on his lap while he played the guitar. That's one of my best memories. So thank you.
Go give your dad a hug.
what?
I just want to make sure it works.
So my dad's sitting up here with a lot of the friends that he's had for years, like his good friend Ken the bartender. So somebody asked me what's the difference between a bartender and a proctologist, and a proctologist only has to deal with one a-hole at a time. Sherman and Vicki Lee are here. Sherman runs Billy's Bamboo Chopsticks. I've known my dad. He's been going there since, what, the late 40s? Early 50s? He's been hanging out there for, you know, half a century. So, and when Sherman took it over, he made lots of improvements, like, for instance, now the bamboo chopsticks are plastic. So, I'm keeping for a So, my brother Mark wants to come up and say some stuff.
Thank you. I don't know a lot to say. I prepared a little something. We'll try in a second. But I just want to say, they asked me to talk about music because that's kind of what's been important in my life and what I know has been important in my dad's life. If he got it from his dad, it's probably down and down. Oh, sorry, closer to the mic. He could play every instrument. He would bring home something and just say, "This is how you play it." He would play a trumpet. He would play the drums. He would play saxophone. He could, I don't know how he did it, but he was able to play every instrument. And I try to do that now with Cameron. He's a drummer, and now he's picking up the guitar, and he's picking up the piano, and it's just amazing what he can do. But I know it's in the genes because Sean is also a great musician. He's playing trumpet at Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo, and he's doing an amazing job. And then all the siblings. Greg was a drummer. He played drums for a short time at Lincoln junior high.
Slash prison.
Yeah, slash prison, as he likes to say, because yeah, he was. I don't know why he went there and we didn't, but we ended up moving, and the rest of us went to Sierra. And Sis played violin, and Sandra played clarinet and oboe and anything else. She played saxophone. She could also she picked up my trumpet and another trumpet and once played them both together. So she's another one that can play just about in an instrument. And then Karen played flute, and Keith plays trombone. No, I thought I was doing music. Okay, you like to do something else. Okay, I'll go to TV. So when we were young, one of the biggest things I remember was television. It was very important at our house. It was always on. I mean, we grew up in the age when you came home, the TV was just on. And in the 60s, I mean, I was born in '59, so we had Jackie Gleason, and we had the Honeymoons, we had Flip Wilson, and just all kinds of, I Love Lucy, and you know, variety shows, and the Beatles, you know, who have been big for me. They were on Ed Sullivan, and I was like 3 or 4 when they came on, but I remember that. But, I do have, I'm going to do a little thing here. I've got music from our childhood from TV shows. So I'm going to play them, and if you guys can know, if you know what they are, raise your hand. I have a feeling Greg's probably going to be left. So let's give this a go.
Captain said Greg can't play.
Okay.
No, let's just see if we
I'm
can
out.
Greg to the punch here. Hopefully these are loud enough. Here's the first one. Okay, a lot of hands going up. Okay, right here in front row. Yes, Andy Griffith Show. Very good. All right, let's go to the next one. Some of these are a little tougher than others.
Oh, I know this one.
What is it?
Dick Van Dyke.
No, not Dick Van Dyke. Do you remember this one?
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
Lost in Space. Lost in Space.
Lost in Space.
Here's the next one. This one's a little more difficult. But it was one of mine. This one I remember.
Oh, I know that.
Honeymooners.
Honeymooners. That's the Honeymooners. That's Jackie Bruce. To the Moon, Alice. That's the big one.
Dennis the Menace.
Dennis the Menace was right. Great job.
Sorry, no.
Dennis the Menace. No, you get this
Rocky and Bullwinkle.
That was Rocky and Bullwinkle. That's okay. Listen.
I'll stop.
It's it right there. Mighty Mouse. That's Mighty Mouse. I'll do a couple more. That's an easy one. Twilight Zone. This one takes a little bit. You'll know when you hear it. Not up true. Broken Zero. Very good. Alright, that's an easy one. This one's a little more difficult. I remember the opening of this one. They were puzzle pieces. It's probably trickier or something.
Wild Wild West.
Wild Wild West. That's a good show. That's actually very good. Easy one. Addams Family. Monsters. Very good. Sissy on this one. Who's that flipper? Very good.
Underdog.
Underdog. I like some of these because they tell the story of the woman. Obviously. We once bought our mom an I Hate Lucy shirt because we watched that so much. And then she would wear it to the store and people would be like, what are you doing? Jetsons. Oh, these are a little low. Nighttime. That girl. I'm sorry about the kids here. They're bored out of their minds. This one's a little trickier. And this was one of my favorite shows.
Leave it to me.
With Tony Down, Jerry Mathers as the people. I'll do a couple more.
And the camera.
Smile. And the camera. Very good. Look at this whistle. Classy. Now this is also this is tricky. Nope. Mother's Brothers. Becky got it. All right.
Oh, Becky.
All these shows and
Becky wins the prize.
Well, Mark alluded to it a little bit. I was lucky enough to go to Lincoln Junior High for 1 year, which was, I don't know if you guys know a lot about education, but that was the first school-to-prison pipeline. I got to go to school with, I was the only one who didn't carry a knife or a gun to 7th grade, but I had to watch plenty of fights and watch students pull knives on teachers. And I would run home as fast as I could, and that was fun. So then, before the 8th grade, we moved to the other side of town. We moved from the black neighborhood to the white neighborhood. So then I had a new whole group of people who hated me. So again, it was, a race problem. It was 1970. I was starting high school, and they were starting to bus kids to integrate schools. So in Foothill, which was all white the year before, they bussed in half the people from my own neighborhood. So it was relaxing for me when I started as a freshman because I already knew the people who were going to beat me up. So it was a fun childhood. So Sandra wants to say some stuff.
Happy birthday. Everyone, happy birthday, 80th birthday. Woo! Oh, looking good. So Dad, 6 kids in 6 years. Whoa. You're a Mexican. You're not a Mexican. Oh, you're Mexican. No, Dad. Oh my gosh. I was such a daddy's girl. Right, Dad? You'd wake up on Sunday mornings, go to breakfast. We'd be sleeping. I'd always go. You taught us to take risks. He would take us fishing to the Kern River. Ken, I don't know if you remember going in your camper one time, and we were in the back. Was that Ken? And we left it messy for you. We were in the camper going down the Kern River. Anyway, I remember one time we were going fishing and we had to cross the Kern River. I don't know if any of you have been to the Kern River. It's not safe. And I don't know, by 7 or 8 or 9, and my dad went over and he wanted us to walk across, and I thought, there's no way I can make it across the river, no way. But we did. We didn't have a rope or anything. He just said, come on, do it, do it. And I don't know how we didn't. I think we got 7 kids in our family. Wait a second. We're missing one. Anyway. But he just knew that we could do things. Because of my father, I could ride a horse. I could ride a motorcycle. I played the clarinet, oboe, flute. I know how to fish. I know how to clean a fish. I know how to build furniture. I brought this to my classroom. I love this little thing. I know how to talk to people. If any of you know my dad, he's such a good talker and a listener, and he's a bull. Don't want to say it because kids are here, right? He can tell the story, and I can tell the story, so I appreciate that. One main thing I learned from my dad is his work ethic. The house that we grew up in on Mills Drive by Foothill had 1 bathroom for 8 kids, and we would all get ready in the morning. And I remember my dad, every morning when he puts his slacks up, pants unzipped, he'd put his shirt in, zip his pants, and he'd put his belt. I watched him do that every morning, but the work ethic, I learned so much from him. And one thing about my father, he always bought used cars. He's never had a brand new car until last year, his Prius. And I remember one year we had a car going to high school. The shocks were broken, Greg. And when you stop at a stop sign, the car would go boing, 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 boing. I was so embarrassed. I remember climbing under the car with a wire hanger to hook so it wouldn't bounce when my brother took me to school. Hey, can I tell a real fast story about Greg? Oh my God. He's so funny. He was such a funny brother. We were driving down our street, and they had the passenger seats in the front. I would sit in the back seat. He would sit in the front, but he'd slide all the way over to the passenger seat, put his foot on the gas pedal, and pretend like no one was driving. So we drive down the street, and people would just away from the back seat. So funny. Crack me up. My fondest memory, and my sis had one, was when we did have horses. We would Sunday mornings. My dad and I would saddle our horses. And I was 14 or 15, and that time my dad didn't really talk to me much because I'm a teenage girl. What do you talk to a teenage girl about, right? So he didn't need to talk. I knew he loved me, but we would saddle the horse, and we'd go riding to Banducci's Corner and get a donut, and he'd get coffee, and I'd get milk and a donut, and we rode back without talking, but that's just the best memories of doing that. So Dad, I love you so much, and I hope this party's great for you. So, thank you. I don't want to get on the motion.
When my dad was a kid, he grew up in an all Spanish-speaking household, and when he started school, there were problems because he didn't know English very well. So, as he was learning English and getting better in school, one day the teacher asked him, said, "Alfonso, what is the difference between pick and choose?" And he said, "Well, that's easy, teacher. Pick is something you select, and choose is what you wear on your feet." Then she asked him, "Okay, Mr. Smarty Pants, how many Mexicans does it take to change a light bulb?" And he said, "Just one." So when I was 10, he came home and told me this joke. He said, "Hey, Gregory, I got to share this with you. A black guy and a Mexican walk into a bar, and the bartender calls the police." So about 20 years ago, I went to the San Dimas Water Park, and they have this really big slide that's a huge drop, almost straight down, and it comes out and you jet through this water really quickly. And I was standing there waiting, and this girl in a bikini came down, and she was like, "Ah!" But the water pulled up her bikini top, and everybody's like, "Wow!" And there were two guys working there, and I was like, "Does this happen all the time?" He goes, "Yeah, the girls are supposed to come down like this, but we don't tell them to." So that has nothing to do with him, but my cousin Steve posted when he wanted us to tell breast stories on Facebook, I couldn't think of one at the time. So I just wanted to acknowledge that my mom's family is here. Her brothers Bob and Jim from the desert, and their spouses and kids, and everybody's here. So thanks a lot for coming, everybody.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it. So it's time for Keith to come up.
I hate following all this stuff. One of the things about the Gonzalez is we're all hams in our own way. But my whole life I've lived under the shadow of Greg and Mark, and it hasn't changed at all. I don't have prepared material. I just want to say though, memories for me, I know growing up, we definitely didn't grow up in the nicest house, that's for sure. But we have so much to be thankful for our father. And again, the music was brought up. You know, when we all learned how to play instruments and choose our instruments, it was a thing where it's like it was never like choose this one because Mark already plays trumpet, so you should play trumpet too because I want to get the trumpet. It was get what you want to get. I remember when I picked the trombone, and we went to Disneyland. Remember, kids went to Disneyland, and we, when they still had the e-tickets. And I remember being on the Steamboat cruise. There was a Dixieland jazz band, and the guy playing the trombone, and he took the slipper off and he worked the slide with his foot. And I remember that, and that's when I decided that's what I'm going to play. And I did, and then I had a trombone. And we never asked, we never even didn't think about money. It wasn't a thing where we always like, oh, this is what I'm going to do, and our dad got it for us. We always had an instrument. I don't know how he got it. It was, looking back on it, and looking back at how we grew up, it's like, oh, that's a small miracle in itself. We're next to the pawn shop, and that helped. But at the time as kids, we didn't think about that. The other thing is, we always had horses. Like, how do we have horses? We did, and it was great, learning how to ride those horses. We had, when VCRs came out, we had, when the first ones came out, they were expensive. And we had a VCR. I was like, okay. When the first pay channels for movies came out, we had the Movie Channel. That was the first one called the Movie Channel, where they played one movie all day long. And so we really would have to be very thankful for the fact that if you put the Gonzaleses in one room, we can recite the entire movie of Blazing Saddles. Watching that as a 10-year-old boy. 10 years old, Blazing Saddles. But just really thankful for that. And I think the thing I just want to end on is, one of the horses we had was Pepe, and Pepe was a pony, and I remember getting on that horse, and Pepe would get on there, Pepe butt me off, fall on my head, Dad's there, get back on, butt me off, fall on my head, and I guess after enough times it's like, oh, I guess that's enough for, in that head. But I think the takeaway moment for that for me is that, my dad is the person who taught me that when you fall off the horse, you've got to get back on, even if it hurts your head. I appreciate everything that he's done for us. We have a lot to be thankful for. So, love you, Dad. Thank you very much.
All right, my dad, like I said, he would come home and tell me all these jokes. I have a whole long list. I don't want to take too much time, so I'm just going to give the punchlines of his favorite jokes. Because the beans fall through the grill. You get a person who's too lazy to steal. Hose A and hose B. Consuela. So they can drive with handcuffs on. And his favorite joke, I didn't tell you to paint my car, I told you to paint my porch. So, if you guys know those jokes, the punchlines are hilarious. Karen wants to get up and say a little something, so come on up. What do you guys do?
For support. Go, Karen!
I wasn't really prepared to say anything. Okay, I wasn't really prepared to say anything, so I was thinking of a story. One of the things that I used to love that Dad would do with me is he would pick me up by my hair. He would take my hair.
Can I show them?
He would take my hair and he would twist it at the top and then lift me up and I would spin around. That was one of the things that was fun at parties, right, Dad? I remember when I was just growing taller and he tried to do it again. I said, yes, do it. I still love it. He's like, no, you're too big now. So I totally missed doing that because he would kind of swing me around. That was hilarious. And then I just wanted to say on a side note, Sandra, you actually did that. You were teaching me how to drive. Okay. And you did the same thing Ray did.
I think we all did.
So funny. And then the other story too that I was going to talk about, I totally love the breakfast that Dad would take us to every Sunday. We would go out to breakfast and
Kmart.
Oh yeah, so I could tell the story about when Dad took us shopping to buy our first bra. That was interesting, but I'll pass that one for now. But the breakfasts were great. I remember the first time when Dad let me have coffee. And I think I was like, I don't know, remember Sandra? I was like 8 or 9 years old.
Tons of sugar.
Tons of sugar in it. I put tons of sugar in it. I loved it. I remember people were staring, and Dad said, "Don't worry about it. Don't worry. Just have your coffee. Have your coffee." I loved it. So I'd go out to breakfast and I'd have my coffee. I loved it.
Wow.
And then with the music, you know, that is, I remember when my older brothers and sisters were in the parade, and me and Mom and Dad and Keith were standing on the sidelines watching the parade. And as the parade's going by, Dad says, "Okay, Karen, what instrument do you want to play?" And I'm like, "What, really?" And he said, "Yeah, what instrument do you want to play?" I was in 3rd grade. And I was just looking, and I said, "Flute, I want to play flute." And he said, "Okay, you got it." And so shortly after that, you know, I had a flute, and I was playing in school, and I was up for Best Musician when I was in 6th grade, and I can't remember if I got that or not. Outstanding Musician, I don't remember, but you know, yeah, Keith was playing there too. Anyway, so yeah, so we had a lot of the same experiences. But yeah, I mean, Dad, really, our lives are, you know, the way they are because of how close we are because of what you and Mom gave to us. So love you so much, and happy birthday.
All right, if anybody else wants, Uncle Raymond wants to come up here and say a few words.
Keep it short, Tio.
No, he's not used to public speaking, so go ahead.
You should always.
Yeah, put a timer.
I want to announce my candidacy.
Again?
Hooray, Gonzalez!
When I got Hooray, Gonzalez. When I got here, I saw this tall fellow with reddish hair. Yeah, Robbie Carter. What's the name?
Steven.
Stevie.
Steven.
Steven. I saw him, and he was talking to Greg, so I came to introduce myself, and he said, "I'm Robbie's son." He said, "I know. You're a car. I can spot cars." Before we took the tires off. So, I said, "I can spot cars," and because I knew the other ones that were here, and he said, how did you spot me? I said, "Because you're not Mexican." First thing, he says, "Yeah, but I got a lot of family that's Mexican." I said, "Okay, from now on you're Caro." Okay, so he's been inducted. That's the wonderful, beautiful thing about our family. Just look around. Careers. Just, we are the cosmic race. We are. I got nephews that are black and Mexican, Irish and Mexican, Asian and Mexican, and that's the American story. That's us. And my brother was the first one that kind of taught me how to be a universal man. I mean, we grew up. I remember living in a railroad track house in Edison, right next to the railroad tracks. My dad was a railroad man. The trains would put to sleep at night, you know, when they go by. And we grew up, actually I was born when we lived in Cameron, Kenya. My dad was the foreman there. And all of us, myself, my sister Mary and Junior, we'd all been born in the section houses. And like Junior, I didn't speak English when I started school. And we went to Fairfax School. Fairfax School at that time was basically all white. Little Okie kids working out in the fields, living in the labor camps. I mean, poor. My dad had a regular job in the railroad, and we used to take shoes to school. We'd get to school and take off our shoes and hide them in the bushes, because everybody else was running around barefoot. And my mother always said, "Boy, you guys really take care of your shoes." Yeah. So, you know, we grew up in a situation like that, and like Gregory, we moved to the city. So I went to Lincoln School. All of a sudden, you know, my little classmates were all black.
Oh, that David play.
Yeah, I learned the lesson real early. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch the devil.
Devil.
I learned that. I learned that term. The devil. So anyway, I'm just happy to be here, happy to have learned a lot from my brother, my older brother, and his love for music, and my dad's love for music, my mother's stability,
And Junior's right, the pawn shop next door, the Shapiro.
Yep.
Took care of everybody. Jazz, mandolin, violin, took care of everybody. Yeah, and just, you know, that part of 19th Street was amazing. So my brother, the one thing that he has always been in this city is a universal man. He's never been put in a box, or he's this or he's that. He's a universal man. He loves people and people love him. And he's taught his kids that. And we grew up in a family where our parents taught us that. So I'm happy to be here with all of you guys, and I love for you, my friends, his friends, and happy birthday, Brother Al.
Yeah, what Uncle Raymond was alluding to, when my dad broke the color barrier by marrying a white woman, my Uncle Raymond was like, "You can do that?" No, what? So he broke the color barrier multiple times. So anybody else want to come up here and say a little something? Oh, look, my Aunt Patsy first. And then, so, whoever's responsible for the great meal, everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you all for coming here. This is absolutely beautiful. My brother knows how much I love him because I have always felt that I have never been alone in the world and someone always had my back. And that was him. He always had my back. But I have to tell you the story about the marriage of Junior and Jean. I was watching TV, probably I Love Lucy, because that's what we did when we came home from school. My mother answered the phone, and she started screaming on the phone. And I'm like, "Oh my God, Mom, what's wrong?" She goes, it's Junior. And I'm like, "Oh my God, is he dead? Is he dead?" She goes, "No, he eloped, and he didn't marry a Catholic." She was hysterical. I go, "Oh God, that's all?" He is the only one of all 5 of us who stayed married to the same woman and did not get married in a Catholic church. So I don't know what to say about that. I know. How many years? 50 years. 50 years and 8 months, right? Yeah, that anniversary. But they had a golden anniversary. And man, I loved his wife. She was my sister. She was my sister. Me and my kids used to go down that house every night. My kids knew where the cookies were, the cats were. And it's so funny because she was white. All their other aunts they called Tia Juanita, Tia Mariella, but her, she was Tia. And she knew Tia Jeannie. They'd walk in, "Where are the cookies, Tia Jeannie? Where are the cookies, Tia Jeannie?" And there'd always be a friggin' basketball game on TV. I don't care what. It was like basketball 24/7. So we're so into sports that I know a lot of sports and music. That's our life. Sports and music. So I just want to tell you, brother, I love you from the bottom of my heart. And I am one titty patty. Okay, you got to remember that. One titty patty. But I'm good now. I love you so much, and thank you so much for everyone, for all of you being here.
Yeah, Patsy alluded to it when my dad and mom got married. They started, much like Ricky and Lucy, they started bringing together the races because his family and my mom's family both united in appealed to have the marriage annulled right away. So she brought them together and they were working hard for it, but you know, it was the early days. But my Aunt Sam wants to come up and say something.
Being the youngest, Patsy stole my story. I was sitting there saying, well, I have to tell the story about Mama almost having a coronary. No, Junior, no, no. What's wrong? What's wrong? No, Junior, no. What's wrong, Mom? What's wrong? They eloped. Jeannie eloped. Okay. And she's not Catholic. It had nothing to do with the white woman. Nothing. She was not Catholic, and that was it. And we used to call Jeannie gringa salada. And I remember telling Jeannie that. That means a salty white person. Why Mexicans say that, who knows? Something about white, salty white people. And Jeannie would laugh, we'd tell that story. Being the baby, my brother Junior told me the story about one of the reasons I was called Sambo. And it's because I was very hairy. And I am very hairy. And when I wake up, I swell during the night. I still do. And my lips are very full. And so my sister Mary Ellen gave me the name Sambo. Junior was the one that told me about how I looked like a little black Sambo because I was so hairy with dark hair. And he told me that story. My brother Junior, Patsy said it right. He's always had my back. He's always been there for me. Thank you, Junior. I love you.
Well, that was a no.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
All right, she has a joke.
We got one more.
She's going to end on a high note.
Yeah!
This was the only joke, hopefully I can remember, because Junior always told jokes, but I could never remember them. I never remember jokes. But he told a joke about this guy went to the zoo. And he went to the zoo, and he went to the tiger cage, and he saw the tiger, and finally he went over to the gorilla cage, and he went like this, and the gorilla went like this, and he went like this, and the gorilla went like this, and he's like, oh man, you know? Junior, I forgot the punchline.
Oh, no!
Junior, you gotta finish the joke. I forgot the punchline. Come finish it.
Kim knows
I
it.
told you I'm terrible with
Kim.
jokes, and that was the only one that I remembered for years and years, and now I forgot. Come in, Kim, finish the joke. You gotta finish the joke. Come on, Kim, finish the joke. I remembered it for many years, but I haven't told it in a long time.
Well, I guess an ember or something flew down and landed in his eye after he done all these other things. And so he kind of went like this. And next thing he knew, he woke up in the hospital. And he was just beaten to death. He had a cast on and everything. And the zookeeper, kind of concerned over his welfare, so he went to the hospital to visit the guy. And he said, hey, what did you do to the gorilla to make him so mad? Because he just grabbed him and drug him into the cage and just beat him up. And he said, well, I didn't do anything. He said, I kind of broke my arm, back of my neck, my stomach. And he said, hey, kid. He said, you didn't go like that, did you? I said, matter of fact, that's the last thing I remember. He says, that means in gorilla talk, F you. So I said, well, I didn't know that. So he got better and he got out of the hospital. He said, I'm getting even with that gorilla. So he goes back over there and goes right to that same gorilla, and he puts a big sausage into his pants. And he goes up to that cage and does the same thing all over again. He rubs his arm, he rubs his stomach, he does all that. Then he unzipped his pants and he puts this sausage out, takes this knife and he cuts it off, and he throws the knife into the cage with the gorilla. And the gorilla goes, I want to tell one that Al's got me in a lot of trouble over the years. Yeah, no, and I've traveled over, we've gone to maybe 3 Olympic Games, and we've traveled to Europe. And one time we were in Atlanta, the Atlanta Games, and we're just walking around downtown, and we went by this big game hunters convention. And he said, "Hey, Ken, let's go in there. We can get a free meal. We'll just make like we're big game hunters, and we can bust a party." I said, "I don't know." And I said, "Well, all right, we're a little low on cash." So we went in there, and we got in with this group of maybe 10 guys. They're all telling stories about their experiences of big game hunting. And they went one after another all the way around the group, and they finally got to us. And I'm going, well, I'm going to have to wing it here. And I said, Al and I, we went out hunting bear one time. And we went up in the mountains, and I had a rifle. And he said he would circle around and chase a bear out of the woods. So I'm standing there, and I could hear some limbs cracking, and pretty soon, sure enough, here comes this grizzly running right at me. And I just held the rifle like this. I was so scared I couldn't even move. This thing ran right up to me. I'm telling all these 10 guys around there this story. It slid to a stop, reared up on its hind legs, and went like that. And I told these guys I pooped in my pants. And this one guy, the #1 hunter, he said, hey guy, I understand that's your first time hunting, that, this could happen, that don't be embarrassed that you pooped in your pants. I said, no, I don't mean when I was hunting, I mean just right now when I went,
So, my dad's turning, I'll get the letter. My dad's turning 80, and 80 is the best year if you've ever wanted to be a pilot, because for a whole year, when anybody asks you how old you are, you can go, I'm 80. Right. Larry has to come up and say something. I'm 80.
Thank you, Greg. You're doing an outstanding. Can we get a round of applause for Greg? Who would have known? Public speaker. Wow. Who would have known? Now, there's so many good memories to reflect on, and so many things that I can say, but like my tias before me said, my Tio Junior always made you feel like you had support and love coming from you, no matter what. And as a kid, it was always a joy to hang out at my Tio Junior's house, because he had everything a young man could desire. He had rock and roll. He had Playboy magazines. Are you kidding me? So he'd say, hey, Migo, check out Jimi Hendrix on the Playboy Jazz Poll. Hey, check out the Beatles Group of the Year on the Playboy Jazz Poll. I said, yeah, deal. Cool. He was always encouraging of anything that we did as individuals. He said, well, do your best. Give it your best effort, So we did. We did it with gusto, we did it with heart. And he said, Mijo, anytime you ever need anything, you let me know. And the Pawn Shop connection is good. Way good, right? So, but he always kept me in fresh moccasins and stuff. And he goes, Mijo, you got to go to the Chinese Taipei to get those pants, those ones that you want. We don't got them here. Got to go to the Chinese Taipei. So he always gave me the straight info and led me in the right directions to what I needed to get to be what I wanted to be. So, always encouraging, always loving, always supportive. He brought a beautiful family to us. So I remember them so well. The Cars, much love, much respect. I love the family. They're a great family. Give it to them. We love them. Yeah, never seen such a more balanced family, loving support, from for their sister, your mom. It was a great experience growing up with them, but I got to reflect on one story. I do believe it was you, Theo Jr., in the Econoline van with Tom Ray, and you guys, child safety, what? We used to load kids up and everything. I mean, a gang of us kids. How many kids do we have? 5 and 6 in one station wagon? Get out of here. You know, go to the hard park and do a Mexican barbecue. Hot dogs. So we're doing a Glenville rodeo run, right? So here we go. Tom Ray's on one side, Theo Jr.'s driving, and I'm in the middle on that funny motor cover thing they call the Econoline van motor cover. So I'm sitting on that thing and we're rolling them. Woo, woo. Here comes an owl, hits the windshield, bam! He hit the brakes, whoops! I'm up against the windshield like a cartoon. Like the Wiley Coyote hitting the side of a wall or something. And I remember Theo Jr. going, oh, Leos, it's okay, you're not bleeding too much. So, anyway, there's so many more war stories we could go on and on and on, but I just had to let my Theo know. I reflect on it often. I think of you always. I'll love you forever.
All right, Sherman Lee wants to get up and say something. So, while he's on his web, I want to say, like what Larry said, we were pretty much free-range kids. You know, one day, Keith was driving a bicycle and he hit a Volkswagen Bug head on. And he was laying in the street and Dad runs out and it's like, oh my God, my kid, he's hurt. And Keith's like, oh. So he, for the first time ever, he goes, I'm going to have to take you to the hospital. We ain't never been to a hospital. He picks up Keith and he's like, I get to go to a hospital? You're not hurt.
I have to say a few things because Al's been like a brother to me because he used to run around with my brother and they were best friends. But just to give you a few things, not drag this out too much, there's a few little parts that I want to talk about. He went to China with us and we were going into the hotel and they're getting all the things and then he says, where's Chinatown at? One of the other things is the first Olympic he went was Ken, and you know Al was a short dresser, he always had the latest clothes, and he had a little handbag with his letter and everything, and he goes picks up Ken, and Ken has his bamboo chopstick delivery bag, and he says, hey, we're going for 2 days. He says, well, that's all I need, I got one underwear and one pair of socks. And he said, no, you don't. And then he says, you had a hole on one side. Well, one day I changed the hole on one side, next day I changed the hole on the other side. So I always never let him down on that. But the third one was really funny. You know, Al was sitting in the corner and he was not depressed, but he had something on his mind that he had to give, you know, let me know. He says, gee, Sherman, I have to tell you something. And I said, what is that? This is the last Olympic he went to was Ken. And Ken did something that he didn't want anybody to know about. So they had to cut the hand brother trick and the bleed. And Al says, 10 years. 10 years. Well, he swear he's never going to give the secret out, but he said, I can't hold it any longer, Sherman. I might die and this secret might go, you know, in the thing. And he says it's past 10 years of limitation. So, so you don't know this, but Ken and Al are best friends on this thing. But, you know, it's true. Anytime Al came into our restaurant, he's the life of the party. Everybody loved him. He always had the latest jokes, and we really we like Al like he's one of our own. So Al, you have a wonderful family, and you have wonderful people come here to cheer in your happy birthday. But he's the greatest. So.
All right, anybody else? Go on.
You ever been in a bar
somebody says, play La Bamba. The bartender says, I don't know the word. Guess who jumped up? We didn't buy a drink the rest of the night.
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas. I know Cameron Canyon, Cage Creek, Ridgecrest, Little Lake. He's a wonderful person to take a trip with. Been there, done that. And he's just really a good guy. And you're buying too.
Just to tie those two stories together, Sherman said that we took a trip to China. I think my dad probably the only guy that sang La Bamba on a cruise down the Yangtze River.
Played the ukulele too.
He did. My Uncle Bob wants to get up and say something.
Thank you, Greg. Happy birthday, Al. I'm so glad you've been my brother-in-law for all these years. And I'm no comedian, and I have a terrible memory, but just a few things that I wanted to say. First of all, in kind of the way of background, at China Lake, where we grew up, my sister and I grew up with my two brothers, it was a Navy base, and they're inside of a fence, and almost everybody who lived there was white. There were two black kids in our school. One was Henry Taylor, and the other one was Willie Carr. And guess who Willie Carr's best friend was? Gene. I don't know if there were any Latino kids there, Mexican kids. I don't remember any. But, oh, Victor Casados, but he was my age. But he was Spanish, wasn't he? he was a pureblood. Anyway, when my sister went away to college, she went to UC Santa Barbara, and I don't think things were too much different down there then. But she didn't like it down there, so she came back home and decided to go to Bakersfield, and that's where she met Al. But when she was in high school, she went to study with a Mormon guy for about 2.5 years, and my mom was sure she was going to get married to him, but she ended up not being upstanding. So they broke up, and I think that after Al and Jean were married, after they eloped, Jean hadn't told my folks yet. I'm pretty sure this is right, although I could be mistaken. And they had a gathering over at our house and served dinner to some people, and my mom was still trying to set her up with somebody else. but we all appreciated and loved Al, and he really brought a lot of spirit to our family. And speaking of family, I just love the Gonzalez family and all their extended family. I mean, I feel like I have got brothers and sisters and girlfriends and aunts and uncles and nieces and nephews who are no blood relative to mine, but to who I grew up with, and at least in my early years. What do I want to say? When I went to Bakersfield College, Jeannie and Al were newly married, and they lived on Truxton Avenue. And me and my friends used to go over there. We were 17, 18 years old, maybe 19, and Al would make us these drinks. And they had vodka and grenadine and something else in them. I don't know what. But none of us were driving, and luckily I lived within walking distance. But he had no problems in pulling out the vodka from under the kitchen sink and making the drink. Do you remember that drink, Al? What was the other ingredient? Orange juice, yeah. Anyway, they were great. Ernie Goslin, some other people, and they used to all run around. She was just kind of like one of the guys. So I don't know what Al kind of moves he put on her to sway her to fall in love with him, but he was pretty smooth. Now, there was one other thing I wanted to talk about. What was it? I told you I haven't met that. Shoot. Oh, yeah. When I was in college in Long Beach State, I was a slow learner, and so I didn't get to finish college till I was later in life. But I had a field geology class out here in McKittrick that I came to every year for a semester, every weekend for a semester. And on Saturday night, we were free to do whatever we wanted to, way out in the middle of nowhere. But I had the Gonzalez family in Bakersfield. So every Saturday night during that class, I'd come to Bakersfield and go to Trini and Alfonso Sr.'s house. And there was always a party going there. And a lot of times there was barbecue in the pit. And boy, was that a great time. And you don't know how many times, well, I'm not going to tell that story. I really love you. I love your family. And I'm so happy that we've been able to have all these years together. And I hope that your next decade is a fruitful one, a happy one, and a healthy one, and you continue to enjoy your family so much. Thank you.
Old people are funny. So it's already been kind of alluded to that, my brothers and sisters said when we were growing up, we didn't have a lot of money, but we had everything kids could want. We had, dogs, cats, fish, snakes, iguana, horny toads, tarantulas. I had scorpion for a while. We had horses. We had motorcycles. We had old cars. Go-karts. We had an above-ground doughboy pool. It was the envy of the block, except the next door neighbors had a built-in pool, but we weren't invited. But for a few years, a lot of people don't know, my dad was actually a scoutmaster when I was in Boy Scouts. And one year we did a fundraiser for the muscular dystrophy, for the telethon that they would have every year. You go down to Channel 23 and they would be on TV, and like who was Skip Young or whatever that guy that was on Ozzie and Harriet would come to Bakersfield and host it. So when I was a kid, I loved watching the Winchell Mahoney show. Paul Winchell was like an idol of mine. He had these two ventriloquist dummies, and I would watch his show every day. So we collected money, and me and two other scouts and my dad took us there, and Paul Winchell was there doing a comedy bit. I was like, wow, I get to see Paul Winchell in person. And he did a joke. There was like, there was just like maybe 3 people standing around, plus us 3 and a camera guy. So Paul Winchell's joke, he did this. He goes, I don't usually do this. This is an impression that I do just for certain occasions. I want to do it now. This is Dean Martin walking in an earthquake. Dean Martin walking in an earthquake. See, and I got a bigger laugh. I got a bigger laugh than he did. Nobody laughed. And so that was my first experience with like fallen idols, because I've never seen such a bitter alcoholic. He was there for charity. He was like, this joke kills in Vegas. And we're like, we got $17 in a jar. Don't you know? So thanks for being a scoutmaster, Dad. Those were great times.
I'm sorry to climb back up there, but you know me. When he mentioned the Doughboy swimming pool in the backyard, and the fact that my brother had married a non-Catholic, and my mother was so religious, at that time I was going to the seminary and studying to be a priest. So I was like my mother, up to here. And my mother would always say, all of his children, they haven't been baptized. They haven't been baptized. I said, well, Mom, they're good kids, and, they haven't been baptized. So they don't know this. But one time at a backyard barbecue, I baptized them all. We played in the pool. And according to the church, all you need to do is put water on your head. I baptized you in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Ghost. I took them one at a time. So you guys have been Catholics all your life.
Yeah, I know. See, most people have creepy uncles that touch them. We had a creepy uncle that baptized them. I don't know your name, but come on up. Yay! I made that day maybe because I was the one going, get burned!
My name is Kristen, and I work with Al in in '96 at the Emporium Western store, and we just stayed in touch over the years. His daughter actually talked me into this.
Yay! Thank you.
Microphone close.
Yeah, hold the mic closer.
Sorry.
Thank you.
I didn't want to do this because I'm probably going to get emotional. Sorry.
All right.
I don't have very close ties with my family, and Al was there for me in high school, and he went to my graduation, and anything that I went through, he never told me this is what you need to do. He just, you can do it. Do what you feel's in your heart, do what you need to do. And it was never, well, you need to do this, you need to do that. He just told me, do what you feel is right for you. And to this day, he still tells me that. And it's kind of nice meeting all of you guys because I know so much about his family from his stories, because in a way, he's my grandpa. That's how I see him. He's my perverted grandpa. He knows that. The first time. We both have our minds in the gutters a lot, so it's all right. But I thank you for everything that you've done for me, Al, and I know a lot of people know you as Al, Big Al, Alfonso, Junior. I know you. He's Bubba. I called him Bubba when I worked with him at the Emporium. I call him Bubba today. So, happy birthday, Bubba, and thank you for having me as part of your celebration.
So her and I kind of had opposite experiences. He would tell her to do whatever she wanted. He'd say, "Stop doing that." But that's part of being a kid. Mark wants to come up and add something to this festive occasion.
All these stories bring back memories. So I did have one story that back in, I'm not even sure how old I was, but this is a Bill Lee story. He would do trips to the Dodger game, and he would take a big group of people, and then Dad would go, and he would. I was invited. I went one time. I don't know if Greg ever went. I don't think Keith. Did you ever go? I think you went. But anyway, Bill Lee would have like 2 big buses, and he would do everything. He would invite all these people, 2 buses to go to the Dodger game. And I remember we went to the game this one time, and I don't know, I could have been 10 years old. And we're sitting in the bleachers. We're underneath in these great seats, and it's my first time at Dodger Stadium. And the whole Bill Lee's group is there, and the innings get into be like 4th inning, 5th inning, and Dad goes, "Hey, get your camera." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "See the scoreboard over there? Take a picture of that. It's coming up." And I'm not sure what he's talking about, so I get my little Kodak camera up, and I'm ready to take a picture. And then all of a sudden it comes up, and it says, "Dodger welcome to Bill Lee's bamboo chopsticks." And then on the bottom it said, "Sponsored by Big Al." Everybody just started. There was just so much laughter just around it. It was so cool. But anyway, that's another great memory I have. I do remember the dinner. We came back and we had a dinner at Bill Lee's. And but then we had amazing food. It was like bird nest soup and just things that I would never have before. It was just all kinds of great stuff. But anyway, that was one of the stories I remember.
I just want to go back to what some of my aunts were saying, that my mom was white. All of a sudden she was wedged into a Mexican family. She wanted to fit in, so she started trying to cook different recipes and stuff. And she finally figured out how to make awesome chili beans. And I think her mother-in-law got a little bit jealous because that's when she stopped making chili beans. So if anybody remembers that time, there was a time in history when we stopped having Grandma Trini's beans, and then all the family events would have Tia Jeannie's beans. So she cooked them in a Mexican pot. She learned from the best. Okay, I'm having a request now that Dad, they want to hear from you. So, you want me to bring this to you?
No. Okay, my name is Louis Burns, and I just, oh my God, how can I say this? I'm just so surrounded with love and people that I love and friends that I love, and it just, I don't know. 80 years of age, I never thought I'd be this old. I shouldn't think I'd take better care of myself. That's how I said. But Sherman's family, friend Leroy, Kathy, Ken, Kristen, everybody that I know and love. And God couldn't bless me with 6 of the greatest kids in the world. I'm taking emotional now because these kids here will never, ever a problem. And I'm just proud to be their dad and to say, yes, those are my kids, those are my grandkids. Love you forever, okay?
All right, everybody, I think we should have some cake before it melts. What do you think?
Before, I want to thank everyone for helping, all my tias, nieces, nephews, cousins, family, friends. Thank you so much for helping so much. It's been the best party. We're going to cut cake.